The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Welcome to Real Reviews. This week, unfortunately, we do not have Jameson, but he sent his well wishes and he hopes everything goes well. We'll find out in the next 30 minutes if it does. But instead of Jameson, I have Jeff Robbins. He is the program director, and his favorite color, even though he's not wearing it, is blue, just like me.
You are really underselling this program. You started with an apology that Jameson's not here.
Well,
this is going to be the best episode of Real Reviews ever.
I don't. Jameson is pretty much king. He's really good.
He thinks he's king.
He's going to watch this episode.
Did you introduce yourself, by the way? I don't think you did.
What's that?
Did you introduce yourself at the top?
Oh, yeah. If you don't know, I'm Mike Roth. My name is on the thing right down there.
It says right behind you there.
Yeah. I don't know if he ever introduces himself.
I think he does.
Does he?
Yeah.
I'm Jameson Rabbit?
He's pretty full of himself.
Yeah, he is. Come on now. He's out there camping right now.
I hope he's having a great time.
Yeah. So is there any words you would like to express before we start our movie reviews?
I just want to express my gratitude that you'd have me on this program. It's one of our most highly esteemed and popular shows here at the Sun Prairie Media Center, and it's a lot of pressure to fill Jameson's shoes. Although technically you're filling Jameson's shoes, I'm filling your shoes. Yeah, so less pressure there.
If people really need a fun fact, I did have a stress scream right before, and I think your words was, "Oh, geez."
That surprised me.
Yeah.
There's a character in the first movie that screams a lot.
Yes. There's a lot of screaming in both our movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe should we get to them?
We should get to them.
Let's do it.
I'll start it off.
I love it.
The first movie we're going to review is Vivarium. This was made last year. You could find it on Prime. This is part of the Blumhouse series Into the Dark. So,
no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
This is part of the Blumhouse series?
Oh, no, it's not. You're right. That's an other movie.
Yeah, let's
see how things fall apart without Jameson. All right. So forget what I said. This is Vivarium, directed by Lorcan Finnegan. This is with Imogen Poots as Gemma and Jesse Eisenberg as Tom. There's not very many characters in this. These are a young couple. They're starting off their life. They're looking for a starter home. They go into this place that looks remarkably bland with a very odd real estate agent named Martin, played by Jonathan Iris. He takes them out to a suburban area where all the houses look the same, and there is no way out. He leaves them there, and they are driving forever trying to get out of this, but there's some kind of weird loop where they always end up in the same spot. They have no neighbors. All the houses look the same. They are trying to escape, but they're not able to. They end up getting a baby that ages very well.
Rapidly.
Very rapidly.
Sure. Yeah.
And has odd little quirks. Before I go into this, anything more about this movie, it does start off with a montage of birds. And this kind of sets the scene a little bit. This is a parasitic bird that likes to drop its eggs into other birds' nests, and other birds take care of it. And that kind of sets up the rest of this movie. Not going to tell you how it ends, but...
You must have read the same article I did, because I read the same thing about those birds. The cuckoo bird.
Yeah, it's crazy that a bird would be that kind of a jerk. Actually, all birds are jerk. If you have seen documentary.
They don't really explain what the cuckoo bird does in the film.
No.
They show it, but they don't really explain it.
But throughout the rest of this movie, you kind of experience it, but with humans.
Yes, with humans,
and then we're not really quite sure what that real estate agent or what that baby is. But Vivarium is Latin for a place of life, and it's also a place of study. So it's maybe just to breed other real estate agents, or maybe it's a study of how humans raise babies that are extremely weird. What did you think about it?
Well, I didn't much care for this film, to be quite honest with you, Mr. Roth.
I feel you. What didn't you like about this?
Well, I mean, there just wasn't much going on. I mean, like you said so eloquently in your description of the film, there's a lot of sameness, but it doesn't. My level of boredom equaled the characters' level of boredom with their lives, I guess.
I feel like I've seen this on Twilight Zone, like an old episode of Twilight Zone.
This is like a Twilight Zone episode for sure.
Twilight Zone lasts 20 minutes with the commercials. This one lasted way longer, and nothing much more happens.
As you say, there's not a lot of characters in this film, so if you don't like the main characters, and I really didn't, there's not a lot where there's nowhere you can go.
Do you have a personal opinion on Jesse Eisenberg or Imogen Poots?
As actors?
Yeah.
They were fine in their roles, but I thought their characters were very dull.
Yeah, there wasn't much for them to do.
No.
They just sat there.
So they get this house, which they can't escape from. They can't escape the development.
Yeah.
I thought I kind of like that opening scene where they're looking for the house and they meet the guy and he's weird and wacky, Martin, as you said.
Yeah.
And he says things like, it's near enough and far enough. And he also says later on, he tells them that it's not a starter home. And he sort of, he puts in a lot of interesting little details that make you kind of wonder, like, oh, what kind of home is this?
Yeah.
He was probably the most interesting character in the movie, I thought, the real estate agent.
I feel like it kind of is saying something about, like, how humans like to dress up environments for their animals at zoos and stuff like that. We think it's absolutely perfect, and then, usually the animals end up kind of sad and go a little crazy until we figure out something else that we think might make them a little happy. I don't need 2 hours of watching humans deal with that, but...
Did you think it was weird that there was nobody else in this development? I mean, we never meet any other homeowners.
Not really. I think that kind of adds to the insanity, and that's the whole point of this movie, is to make you feel as bored and insane as the characters that were portrayed in this movie. And I think they really succeeded in that, because I was very bored. And I wanted this movie to be done a lot quicker than it really was. I don't think this idea was anything original. It feels like a Twilight Zone episode. Feels a little bit like Matrix in a way, but way less entertaining.
Right.
Some of the concepts were interesting, like what would an alien being think a human would want as perfect. I liked the idea of how a relationship you think is perfect in the beginning gets destroyed with monotony, and
I don't think any relationship could stand the situation that these two characters have put into.
No. And one character took the constant approach of trying to escape, while another one, even though she wanted to escape, just kind of settled in a little bit.
Do you think that he was trying to escape with the digging? I mean, we haven't talked about the digging. Jesse Eisenberg's character just digs constantly.
It could be just like rolling that boulder up the hill type thing. He just needed something to give him more purpose.
Right. I think that was it.
Raising the baby definitely wasn't a thing that would have been on my list. That was a creepy kid.
Well, explain how the kid ages.
He ages, what, maybe 6 years every month? Or no.
I think the first time we see it's like 98 days in, and he's about 7 years old.
Yeah. And so max, they have to raise this baby, and that was one of the things, prerequisites on the box, is you got to raise this baby, and then you could be free.
Released,
maybe 9 months of until it gets into adulthood, but every day eating bland food, not being able to go home and do the things that you love doing.
Do you think, because early on there's a welcome package from the real estate agent, and when they can't get out of the development and they go back to spend the night at the house, or what maybe they think is a night, and turns out to be a lot longer than that. They bite into the strawberry, and Tom says, no taste.
Yeah.
Do you get the impression that all the food that was delivered to them had no taste?
That's what I'm assuming. To me, it felt like it was set up to be what they thought was perfect for humans. And humans like shrimp cocktails and strawberries and champagne, but it didn't have the flavors that we really wanted. It was just presentation.
Right.
Which is part of the reason why I feel like they were getting sicker and more agitated with being there. But
it was kind of interesting that the boy sort of, at first he kind of drives a wedge between the two characters, because as you say, he doesn't want anything to do with the kid, and she's more willing to raise this child, even though he's very challenging.
Yeah.
But then later on, in the later aspects of the film, I don't know how much I want to give away, but the two kind of come back together. And I think that there's for a movie that was, I think it was an hour and 40 minutes, there's a lot of wasted time here. I mean, there's a scene where they're just dancing in front of the car that it seems to go on forever, and there's a very long scene where they talk about how they first met, and that's kind of pointless and meanders. And
there really wasn't much they could do with this. I mean, they were stuck in one spot. In the Twilight Zone episode that I referred to, it was a man who was stuck in an alien zoo, and they got that point and all the emotion that you needed from that within 20 minutes.
Right.
And this went on for an hour and how long did he say?
40 minutes.
40 minutes, yeah. Which was about an hour and 20 minutes longer than it really needed to be.
The thing about the other thing, real quickly, you know, the boy was watching TV and there's all those weird symbols, and then he gets the book and it has all the same symbols, and that was I wanted that to amount to something. It didn't amount to anything.
Nah. So, in the wide scheme, I know how much you love this movie. What would you give?
Now, this is a 5-star scale, correct?
Yes.
Out of 5 stars, I am giving Vivarium a whopping 1.5 stars.
Wow. You know what?
What?
I completely agree with you.
Really?
Yeah, it's 1.5. It is hard
just
to
like
watch.
that.
Yeah. Let's see how nice when we agree.
Wow, I had no idea you were going to say that.
So, in the spirit of going back and forth,
I honestly had it at 2 stars, and then I told Mara to change it to 1.5. I didn't know that you had at 1.5, but the more I thought about it, the less I liked it. So there you go.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Okay. What do we at?
I think you got the next one.
What do we at as far as time goes?
Well, we
are
are 13 minutes into our show.
Are we really? Well,
yeah,
let's
time does fly.
Wow, okay. Well, our next film is called Into the Dark, Current Occupant. Now, Into the Dark is actually the name of a anthology series that's over there on the Hulu, is where you can see this film. And I believe this is the 2nd season of these films, and each one of these ties into a certain holiday. And this is the film for July, which ties into Independence Day, Mr. Roth.
Yeah.
And Into the Dark, Current Occupant, stars a gentleman by the name of, I think his name is Barry Watson. And he's a guy who finds himself in a hospital. He's been injured and makes himself a little bit of a pain in the butt, you could say. And then he's put into a psychiatric ward. And he believes that he is the president of the United States. And for the rest of the film, you're sort of left to kind of wonder, is he really the president of the United States? Or is he just paranoid, delusional? I guess delusional would be a better term. There's an interesting, there's some interesting characters in this film. There's a woman, a fellow psychiatric ward patient, who tells him that she is his Secretary of State.
Yeah.
And that the vice president's evil, and there was a plot, and the Secretary of State, took the president's side, and that's why they're both there in this psychiatric ward, so the vice president can kind of carry out his coup of running the country. And There's a lot of, we talked about repetition in Vivarium. There's some repetition in this film as well. There's a lot of Clockwork Orange-inspired scenes.
I felt the exact same thing when I was watching this. I was like, oh, it's Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
But again, not as much plot.
Not as much plot. But I guess this movie, I mean, yeah, there's lots of scenes of him. There's this treatment that his psychiatrist says is this groundbreaking new treatment, but it really just seems like he's just watching a bunch of video screens and asked some questions over and over again. It's not really groundbreaking.
No, this film kind of tries to get you to believe that he could possibly be the president, and they do some really over-exaggeration in how miserable his life is. He ends up going into a sane asylum. Everybody is instantly dirty. It looks like people are being tortured. There's a scene where you feel like they manipulated him to murder someone else, and you start to believe, yeah, this is really exactly what he believes it is. He sees documents that are all blacked out.
Right.
And I think one of the things this movie I dislike about is they really heavy-handedly try to make it seem like what he sees, what the viewer sees, is real. And there's a couple of occasions where you could go back and you go, oh yeah, that was all in his head. But they showed so much stuff that makes you believe this could not be possible, where when it comes around to twists and turns, I can't get hooked into it because I totally bought everything they were trying to sell me. And then...
So at the end, did you feel like you were hoodwinked?
At the end, I felt like I was purposely disappointed. At the end of the movie, I was thinking maybe the director, Julius Ramsey, was trying to make me feel like I was going insane along with the president.
Okay.
There's a lot of weird little cut scenes and irritating noises, and that's not a good movie. I really wanted... I don't want to feel what the director wants me to feel just through manipulation of how he edits the film. I want to feel that way because the story is written very well. I thought they could have said more with this film, or
there really isn't anything...
made me care a little bit.
I feel like they were trying to say something about the power of the presidency and is one life more important than other lives, and but that didn't really come off very well, I didn't think.
No, there were questions that were posed, but
not answered.
Not answered, and by the end, and I don't like giving away things.
No, the ending is not a surprise. I don't think it wasn't for me.
I don't think it was a surprise. To me, it would have been nice if they wrapped it up a little bit better, where it went along with what you believed, but they had to have a twist in it that made it less believable or enjoyable. I found myself stressed out throughout this entire movie, and I was watching it with company, and I felt like I had to apologize immensely afterwards.
Do you have the Hulu with commercials or without commercials?
I have it with commercials. I got the cheap one, so there was a
me-
couple of commercials in there.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal for me.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal for me either. I was kind of surprised it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
This, to me, seemed, you were talking about Vivarium seeming like a Twilight Zone episode. Mm-hmm. This, to me, also seemed more like a TV show. And maybe it was because it was interrupted by commercials as I watched it, but it seemed like a,
And I feel like this one would have been probably a lot better if it was 30 minutes. It definitely wasn't a Clockwork Orange. It needed to be wrapped up in
there's
maybe
also
a half hour.
There's also a scene early on where he can't walk at the beginning of the film because of the injuries that put him into the hospital. And then all of a sudden, when he's trying to escape, he can walk just fine.
And that was another thing that also upsetted me. It's he goes to a sane asylum pretty much once he goes, I think I'm the president. And they're like, okay, you could leave. And then he's captured.
Right.
And it's a dismal, dirty, terrible place. Just because he says, well, I have amnesia, but I think I'm the president. They could have helped him out.
Having never been in a psychiatric hospital.
I guess I haven't, but
No.
I
So
would assume it's cleaner and
It would have to
more
be.
friendlier.
It would have to be.
It would have to be. I hope.
So, Mr. Roth,
Yes.
what do you give Into the Dark Current Occupant?
I have a running theme on this. It's another 1.5. I do not recommend this, and it's a shame because I love the last series that we did just last month with the dog.
Okay.
Me and Jameson were really excited to watch another one. And,
Maybe I should go back and watch that one.
Yeah, it was fun. It's not groundbreaking. You're not going to leave going, wow, that was the best movie. I don't know how many movies you've seen this year. It's been kind of scarce, but...
It's been a little scarce, yeah.
A little bit.
I bet you want to know what I gave this film.
Yes, I do.
Because that's how this show works.
I'm staring at you and just amazed.
I think Mars is going to put it up on the screen because I think I gave it 2.5. So I thought this movie kept me interested enough that I wanted to know how it was going to end up.
How'd you feel at the end?
Oh, I thought the end was the predictable ending, but I was it had enough in it to keep me kind of interested and curious, and I thought the actors were pretty good, and the friendly nurse, without giving away too much, I thought she was good and interesting, and I liked the main guy fine. So, kind of a middle of the road kind of a score for me.
I did think Barry Watson did a good job. And
I guess I don't know much about him. But.
Neither do I, but I was kind of like, oh, he seems like a likable guy. I hope he's the president.
All right, so do we have a throwback
yes,
this week?
We are running at 21 minutes, in case you
Perfect.
are curious.
We should do this more often.
Well, I don't think Jameson is hardly ever gone. You know that. We have a running tally.
But you're gone even less than he is, isn't he?
No, I screwed that up once. I thought it was on a different day, and I was at overtime at work, and he calls me up, and he's like, "Where are you?" And I'm laughing. I'm like, "Ha ha ha, yeah, whatever. See you tomorrow." And
he did it by himself then?
And he did it by himself.
Oh, okay.
And that was probably way scarier than me doing this with someone else. So.
I don't know. But anyway, so...
Anywho, so on to our Keanu Reeves series, where we go all the way back to 2005, where we watch Constantine. This is based on a DC comic.
Yes.
I believe Constantine came out in 1985 on Swamp Thing. Very popular. I'm surprised, because I didn't know this when I first watched this in 2005, that this was based on a DC comic. And I don't know why DC didn't capitalize on this, because this is way better than most of their movies that they come out with. Keanu Reeves, he plays John Constantine. He is a exorcist. A long time ago when he was young, he was able to see all these spirits and ghosts and demons and stuff like that, and it drove him a little crazy, and at a young age, he committed suicide. He tried to commit suicide, but he came back. He died twice, averting the devil twice, which makes the devil want him even more. But in order to try to regain his passage into heaven, he decides to do God's work and expel all these demons who are breaking the rules of what demons and angels are supposed to be doing when they're on earth. There's a little bit of a mystery here. He is followed around by a very young Shia LaBeouf.
Yes, that's his apprentice.
Yeah,
sort of his assistant. Yeah.
I was really surprised on how young he looks. He aged a lot over the past 15 years.
Yeah, he was fun.
Which, I mean, it's not bad. I mean, you look young either. I started growing white at like 19. That's crazy. Fun fact, in case you didn't know.
Went off on a tangent awful quick.
So have you seen Constantine before this?
No, I saw it last night for the first time.
Yeah, what'd you think of it?
I enjoyed it. I thought that I'm not a big Keanu Reeves guy, and not to throw water on your Summer of Keanu, but I thought that his performance here fit the character. I mean, this is somebody who you didn't really mention this, but he has terminal lung cancer. He has this power that I don't think anybody really wants to have, where he can see demons and angels. And,
I think that would suck.
Yeah. And he can send himself to hell anytime he wants, which. So I think that kind of the disinterested, dispassionate, sort of beaten down persona that I think Keanu Reeves has in a lot of his films fits this character pretty well.
Would you recommend this? We don't give scores, but would you recommend this movie?
I also want to say real quickly, because I don't know how Rachel
5 minutes.
Rachel Weisz, is that how you say her last name? Weisz?
Yeah.
I thought she was good.
Yeah.
She spends a lot of time in this film wet. Just so if you need
You're
a reason,
right.
if you need a reason to see the film, there's that.
And she plays two characters.
She's
Not
yes,
much of a stretch, though.
She's her twin sister as well.
Yeah, which you don't get to see except for like one little clip. But either way, very impressive.
You enjoyed this film.
I like this film. It's not like on my top 100 list, but you know, it was fun.
In the research I was doing for this program, believe it or not, I did research. Word is that a reboot of this film is in the making.
I've heard that too.
Possibly with Keanu Reeves, possibly with a younger actor.
I hope that this gets put into the DC universe because that would save a lot of things. DC should have more than Wonder Woman as a great movie.
I would agree.
Yeah. So there we go. So on to the next segment with my time management. So next week, we should be going into Animal Crackers. You can find it on Netflix. You could watch it first and then watch our show, see if you agree with our reviews.
So that's a Netflix.
This is a Netflix.
Okay.
It's a 2017 film. It only played at a France Independent Film Festival, and Netflix saved it so we could all watch it, and that is a lot of fun. We're also going to do Radioactive. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a series about, or a movie about Madame Curie and all the things that she had to be going through. And spoiler alert, she dies.
Geez, well, not.
Yeah, I don't have to see the movie.
I'm not going to waste time with it now. Go watch Vivarium
Well,
again.
when you're doing radioactive stuff and you don't know anything about it and you're learning about it, you probably don't know about wearing lead and stuff like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
We also continue our Keanu Reeves series where we revisit The Replacements 2000, which I've never seen. So it's not revisiting for me. It is actually watching it.
So, there you have it.
We cannot leave this show.
You'll love it again for the first time.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping. Not all of his movies are home runs for me, but
no, of course
I watch
not.
him. And he's a great guy, and we'll be talking about how great he is closer to the end
Oh.
of our thing. He's really interesting fellow. But
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you about it because that is for another episode. We cannot leave without mentioning our sponsors. Marcus Theaters, we miss you. We love you. Everybody, just help out the theaters right now if you can. On the weekends, they do have all your favorites. You could get large bags of popcorn. You could still get their pizzas. Most of their menus are still open, and every once in a while they have an event. I should have mentioned this last week, but they did have a parking lot event with Working Draft Brewery and a bunch of other artisan cheese places where you could go into the parking lot and kind of enjoy some of the foods that are going on. And it also helps the theater stay alive because
If
it
you
is
want
a
to get
tough
back
time.
into the theaters, support Marcus during this time.
Yes, and also they support us, so
Yes, they do.
definitely, it's great having a theater here in Sun Prairie, especially a
I
nice
love it.
place like the Palace. Hopefully they are doing okay, and they will be back soon.
And same for Jameson Rabbit. Hopefully he'll be back soon too.
Yes, really, I don't know if people can tell, but I am very nervous during this half hour, and it's almost up. We have 2 minutes left.
Oh, we should have talked more about Vivarium.
Oh, I want to just thank you for being on the show because
I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
thank you for being here. Without you, I really would be a babbling mess, and Jameson would be very disappointed when he got back. So I'm so glad that you are here.
It's my pleasure. I'll do it anytime.
Well, hopefully he just doesn't take off very often.
Well, there you go.
Oh, well, you could come in and guest. You do that kind of stuff for our little segments. You walking around in the backgrounds, and you're always doing.
I could do anytime you need me. I'm here. You know where to find me. I'm not very far away.
You're usually
Just down the hall.
down the hall.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I'm Mike Roth.
I'm Jeff Robbins.
Stay well.